The Kirathi had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 cycles. Every species knew their name. Every species feared them. They stood 3 meters tall. Their bodies were covered in scales harder than ship armor. Their claws dripped with venom that could kill in seconds. Their eyes glowed golden and could see heat itself. In the darkness, they were perfect hunters. In the light, they were unstoppable warriors. For 10,000 cycles, no one had challenged them. No one had dared. Vorath remembered the old stories. His father had told him how the Kirathi rose from their jungle homeworld and spread across the stars. They did not ask for territory. They took it. They did not negotiate with other species. They dominated them. The galaxy learned one simple truth. The Kirathi were the apex predators. Everything else was prey. Vorath was an alpha of his bloodline. He had led hunting parties across dozens of worlds. He had killed creatures that other species only whispered about in fear. He had never known defeat. He had never known what it meant to run, until the Hollow came. No one knew where they came from. Some said they were a weapon built by an ancient civilization. Others said they were a natural evolution of pure hunger. It did not matter. What mattered was what they did. The first colony went dark without warning. 3 million Kirathi simply stopped responding. When scout ships arrived, they found nothing. No bodies, no buildings, just empty land and a strange black residue that seemed to move when you looked away. The Kirathi High Council sent a war fleet. 50 ships, 10,000 warriors. The best the species had to offer. They lasted 6 hours. The Hollow was not one creature. It was millions, billions. A swarm of bioorganic things that moved like liquid shadow. They had no eyes, but they could sense life. They had no mouths, but they could consume flesh in seconds. They adapted to every weapon. Energy beams only made them stronger. Missiles they simply absorbed. Physical attacks meant nothing to creatures that could split apart and reform, and they had one target, the Kirathi. Colony after colony fell. The Hollow moved through Kirathi space like a disease. They ignored other species completely. They passed human freighters without a glance. They flew past Norian stations as if they did not exist. They wanted only Kirathi flesh. Vorath was on his homeworld when the sky turned black. He remembered the screaming. His people were warriors. They did not scream. But when the Hollow dropped from the clouds like living rain, even the bravest Kirathi could not hold their courage. The swarm moved through the cities in waves. They pulled hunters from their homes. They dragged alphas from their command posts. They consumed everything. Vorath fought. He killed hundreds of the creatures with his claws and venom. But for every one he destroyed, 1,000 more appeared. His scales cracked under their assault. His golden eyes dimmed with exhaustion. His mate pushed him toward an escape ship. "Go," she said. "Someone must survive. Someone must warn the others." He tried to argue. He tried to stay. But she was already gone, swallowed by the black tide. Vorath flew. For the first time in his life, he ran from a fight. His ship barely escaped the atmosphere. Behind him, his world burned. Billions of his people died in hours. The greatest hunters in the galaxy became nothing but food. He sent distress signals as he fled. He called for help from anyone who would listen. But no response came. The other Kirathi colonies were already gone. He was alone. Days passed. His ship lost fuel. His wounds grew worse. The venom in his own claws began to poison him because he had no medicine to treat his cracked scales. Death seemed certain. Then he remembered the Galactic Assembly. The Assembly was a council of species that governed the wider galaxy. The Kirathi had never joined. They had never needed allies. They were predators, not politicians. But now, with everything lost, Vorath had no choice. He broadcast a message to the Assembly's emergency channel. He told them what had happened. He begged for military aid. He, a Kirathi Alpha, begged. The response came within hours. Elder Noma, the leader of the Assembly, appeared on his screen. She was a Vestani, a species of tall, gray beings with large eyes and thin limbs. Her voice was calm and cold. "We have received your transmission," she said. "The assembly convenes to discuss the matter." "Discuss?" Voreth growled. "My people are dying. The Hollow will not stop with us. They will come for all of you next. The Kirathi told us for centuries that you needed no one," Elder Noma replied. "You called us weak. You called us prey. Now you ask us to send our children to die for you? I am asking you to save yourselves. The Hollow is a threat to everyone. Perhaps. But our military analysts believe the Hollow is specifically engineered to hunt Kirathi biology. Once your kind is gone, the threat may end naturally." Voreth stared at the screen. He could not believe what he was hearing. "You would let us die? All of us?" "The assembly will discuss the matter," Elder Noma repeated. "We will inform you of our decision." The screen went dark. Voreth sat in his damaged ship, alone in the void. The galaxy had abandoned him. His people were being exterminated. And no one would lift a claw to help. He thought about giving up. He thought about flying into the nearest star and ending his pain. What was the point of surviving if there was nothing left? But then he detected a signal. A small station, far from the main shipping lanes. Human territory. Humans. He almost laughed at the idea. They were the newest species in the galaxy. Soft skin. No claws. No venom. No natural weapons at all. The Kirathi had never considered them worth noticing, but the station had fuel. It had medical supplies, and Voreth was dying. He set a course and let his ship drift toward the station. He did not expect help. He did not expect kindness. He was a Kirathi, and he had spent his whole life believing that strength was the only thing that mattered. He was about to learn how wrong he was. The station grew larger on his view screen. Lights flickered in its windows. Tiny human ships moved around it like insects. Voreth closed his eyes and let the darkness take him. When he woke, everything would be different. Tejo sat alone in the cargo bay of Station Outpost 1-4. The room was cold and quiet. He liked it that way. In his hands, he held a rifle. It was not a normal rifle. It was a railgun. Custom-built. Older than most ships in this sector. The metal was worn smooth from years of use. The stock had small marks carved into it. Each mark was a kill. There were many marks. Tejo cleaned the weapon slowly. He took apart each piece and wiped it with careful hands. He checked the magnetic rails. He tested the trigger. He looked through the scope at a spot on the far wall. His breathing was slow and steady. He called the rifle Grandmother. His father had given it to him before he died. His father had been a soldier. So had his grandfather. So had Tejo. Once. Now he was something else. A freelancer. A contractor. A man who solved problems that other people could not solve. He did not talk about his past. He did not talk much at all. The cargo bay door opened. A woman walked in. Her name was Yuna. She was short, with sharp eyes and quick movements. She had been Tejo's partner for 3 years. She handled communications, planning, and talking to people. Tejo handled the shooting. "We have a situation," she said. Tejo did not look up from his rifle. "What kind?" "A Kirathi Alpha crashed into the station docks an hour ago. He is barely alive." Now Tejo looked up. A Kirathi. Here. That was unusual. The Kirathi never came to human space. They considered humans beneath their notice. "The station commander does not want him here," Yuna continued. "The other aliens on the station are scared. They say the Kirathi are cursed now. They say something is hunting them. Something called the Hollow. I heard the stories. They are not just stories. The Kirathi homeworld is gone. All of it. This Alpha might be one of the last of his kind." Tejo finished assembling his rifle. He stood and put it over his shoulder. "Where is he?" "Where is he?" Yuna smiled slightly. She knew what that question meant. "Medical bay." "But Tejo, no one else will help him. The station commander wants him gone. The other species want him dead." Helping him could make us enemies. Is he still breathing? Yes. Then let us go. They walked through the station corridors. Outpost 1-4 was a trading hub on the edge of human space. Aliens of many species moved through its halls. Most of them looked away when Taeho and Yuna passed. Humans made other species nervous. They did not understand why, but they could feel it. The medical bay was guarded by 2 station security officers. They looked uncomfortable. "No one goes in," one of them said. "Commander's orders." Taeho looked at him. Just looked. The guard shifted his weight and suddenly found something interesting on the floor to stare at. "We are going in," Yuna said pleasantly. "Medical supplies for the patient." The guard stepped aside. Inside, the medical bay was a mess. Every bed was too small. Every piece of equipment was wrong. Kirathi were 3 meters tall. Human medical facilities were not built for them. Vorath lay on the floor. His scales were cracked and bleeding. His golden eyes were dim. His breathing was shallow and rough. He was massive even while collapsed, a mountain of muscle and armor brought low. When he saw the humans enter, he let out a weak laugh. "They send the prey species to mock me," he rasped. "Humans. No claws. No fangs. You cannot even see in the dark." Yuna's eyes narrowed, but Taeho walked forward without a word. He knelt beside the fallen Alpha and opened the medical kit he had brought. Vorath watched him with confusion. "What are you doing?" Taeho did not answer. He began cleaning the wounds with careful, practiced movements. He applied medicine to the cracked scales. He worked with the same patience he used when cleaning grandmother. "Why?" Vorath asked. His voice was weaker now. "Why would you help me? Your kind has no debt to the Kirathi. We called you weak. Insignificant. We thought you were nothing." Taeho finally spoke. His voice was quiet and flat. "Because you asked." Vorath stared at him. In 10,000 cycles of Kirathi history, no one had ever helped them simply because they asked. Help came from strength, from alliances of power, from fear, not from kindness. "You are strange creatures," Vorath whispered. Taeho said nothing. He kept working. Hours passed. Yuna helped where she could. She brought more supplies. She argued with the station commander over communications. She convinced him to give them 2 more days before he forced the Kirathi to leave. By morning, Vorath was stable. He could sit up. He could speak clearly. His eyes had regained some of their golden glow. "I need to reach the sanctuary," he said. "There may be other survivors. Other Kirathi who escaped the hollow. They will gather at the old coordinates. If I can reach them, we can rebuild." "Where is this sanctuary?" Yuna asked. Vorath gave them the location. It was deep in the contested zone. A region of space filled with debris, dead worlds, and danger. "That is hollow territory now," Yuna said. "No one goes there." "I know. But I must try. My people are dying. I will not hide here while the last of them are hunted." Taeho stood by the window, looking out at the stars. He had not spoken in hours. Now he turned to face them. "We will take you." Yuna looked at him. "Taeho. That is suicide. We do not even have a ship. Minho has a ship. Minho will not agree to this." "He will." Captain Minho was a human freighter pilot who owed Taeho his life 3 times over. His ship, the Silent Wake, was fast and quiet. It was not a warship, but it could move through dangerous space without being noticed. They found Minho in a station bar, drinking alone. "No," he said before they could speak. "You do not know what we are asking," Yuna said. "I know that look on Taeho's face. It means something stupid and dangerous. The answer is no." "There or Rav." Taeho sat across from him. He said nothing. He just waited. Minho drank his drink. He looked away. He looked back. Taeho was still waiting. "I hate when you do that," Minho muttered. "A Kirathi Alpha needs transport," Yuna explained. "There may be survivors of his species at a hidden sanctuary. We need to get him there, through hollow space." "Yes." against creatures that destroyed the most powerful species in the galaxy. Yes. Minho finished his drink. He looked at Tejo. You are insane. Tejo shrugged slightly. Fine, Minho said. But if we die, I am going to be very annoyed with you. Thank you, Yuna said. Do not thank me. Just get your alien and meet me at Dock 7. We leave in 2 hours. As they walked back to the medical bay, Yuna looked at Tejo. Why are you doing this? Really? Tejo was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Everyone deserves a chance to fight for their people. Even apex predators. Yuna nodded. She did not fully understand, but she trusted him. 2 hours later, the Silent Wake departed Station Outpost 1-4 with a human crew and 1 wounded Kirathi Alpha. They flew toward the darkness. The Silent Wake moved through dead space. All around them, darkness stretched forever. Vorath stood at the observation window, watching the empty void pass by. 3 days ago, these systems had been full of life. Now, they were tombs. The Hollow had passed through here and left nothing behind. His wounds were healing. The human medicine worked differently than Kirathi treatments. But it worked. Every day, he felt stronger. Every day, he studied his human hosts. He did not understand them. Tejo was the strangest of all. The Marksman spent most of his time alone, either cleaning his weapon or sitting in perfect stillness near the ship's viewports. He barely spoke. He barely moved, but his eyes never stopped watching. On the 4th day of their journey, Vorath found Tejo in the lower observation deck. The human sat with his rifle across his lap, staring out at the darkness. He had been there for hours. Do you ever sleep? Vorath asked. When I need to. How long have you been sitting there? 6 hours. Vorath moved closer. Even recovering from his wounds, he was twice the human size. His shadow fell over Tejo like a blanket. But the human did not move. Did not look away from the viewport. What are you watching for? Hollow scouts. They sometimes drift through debris fields like this one. If I see one, I can kill it before it reports our position. Vorath looked out the window. He saw nothing but rocks and dust and distant stars. I do not see anything. Neither do I. Yet, then why watch? Tejo finally looked at him. His eyes were calm and patient. Because eventually, something will appear. And when it does, I will be ready. Vorath did not know what to say. Kirathi hunters struck fast and hard. They did not wait for hours. They did not have the patience for it. He sat down beside the human. The floor creaked under his weight. They watched the void together in silence. An hour passed, then another. Vorath began to grow restless. His instincts told him to move, to hunt, to do something. But Tejo sat perfectly still. His breathing never changed. His eyes never left the window. Then, at the edge of vision, something moved. It was small. Just a shadow among shadows. But Tejo saw it instantly. His hands moved without hurry. He raised the rifle, looked through the scope, and adjusted his aim. The creature was far away. Very far. Vorath could barely see it as a dark spot against the stars. Tejo fired once. The sound was quiet. The railgun sent a metal slug through the vacuum at incredible speed. 3 kilometers away, the hollow scout exploded into fragments. 1 shot, 1 kill. Vorath stared. How did you do that? Tejo lowered his rifle. Practice. No, that is not possible. The distance, the movement. How did you even see it? I waited long enough to notice when something did not belong. Vorath shook his head slowly. He had killed many things in his life. He was a predator born and bred. But he had never seen anything like this. Later that day, Yuna found Vorath in the cargo hold. He was pacing back and forth, his tail swishing with agitation. You seem troubled, she said. I am confused, Vorath admitted. Your species makes no sense to me. Yuna smiled and sat on a crate. Tell me what confuses you. Everything. You are small. Weak. You have no natural weapons. Your senses are poor. By every measure, You should be prey animals. But I watched Teho kill a hollow scout from 3 kilometers away. I watched him sit, without moving for 6 hours. That is not the behavior of prey. Yuna nodded. You are right. We are not prey. Then what are you? She thought for a moment, choosing her words carefully. On our homeworld, Earth, humans did not have claws or fangs. We could not run faster than the animals we hunted. We could not overpower them with strength. So we developed a different strategy. What strategy? Patience. Endurance. We would track our prey across entire continents. We would follow them for days without stopping. We did not need to be faster or stronger. We just needed to never give up. Eventually, no matter how fast or powerful the prey was, it would collapse from exhaustion. And we would be there, still walking, still following, still hunting. Vorath stared at her. You hunted by refusing to stop? Yes, our bodies are designed for it. We can run for hours without rest. We can go days without sleep if we need to. We heal from wounds that would kill other species. And most importantly, she tapped her head, we can wait. We can plan. We can be patient in ways that other species cannot imagine. And when you developed weapons, we applied the same thinking. A Kirathi warrior strikes fast and overwhelms with power. A human soldier waits, watches, plans, and when the perfect moment comes, we do not miss. Vorath thought about Teho sitting motionless for 6 hours. He thought about the single, perfect shot across 3 kilometers of empty space. I have been measuring predators by the wrong standard, he said quietly. Yuna tilted her head. What do you mean? The Kirathi believed that strength and speed made us the apex predators. We thought power was everything. But you, humans, you are something else. You are patient. You are relentless. You never stop. Some people find that terrifying. They should. Vorath looked at her with new eyes. The Hollow hunts us because we are dangerous. They were created to destroy the Kirathi. But they have never encountered humans. No, they have not. Perhaps that is a mistake on their part. Yuna smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a species that had clawed its way to the stars through sheer, stubborn refusal to die. Perhaps it is, she agreed. That night, Vorath did not sleep. He sat in the observation deck with Teho, watching the void together. The human did not speak. He did not need to. For the first time since his world burned, Vorath felt something like hope. He was traveling with predators. Not the kind the galaxy recognized. Not the kind that roared and struck with overwhelming force. These were quiet predators. Patient predators. The kind that would follow you to the end of the universe and wait as long as necessary for the perfect moment to strike. The Hollow had destroyed the Kirathi because they were powerful, but the humans were something different. Something the Hollow had never seen. They were the predators who never stopped hunting. The silent wake continued through the darkness, carrying its strange crew toward whatever waited ahead. Behind them, the dead system stretched empty and silent. Ahead, the Hollow waited. But now, the hunters were becoming the hunted. The sanctuary coordinates led them to a small moon at the edge of a dying star system. Captain Minho dropped the silent wake out of faster-than-light travel and immediately swore. His voice echoed through the ship's speakers. Everyone to the bridge. Now. Vorath arrived first, his wounded leg still slowing him down. Yuna came next, followed by Teho, who moved without hurry even in an emergency. They gathered around the main view screen and stared at what waited for them. The moon was surrounded by the Hollow. Thousands of creatures swarmed the atmosphere like a living cloud. Black shapes twisted and moved in patterns that hurt to watch. They covered the moon's surface in writhing masses. They filled the space around it in thick clusters. And in orbit, far above everything else, floated something massive. What is that? Minho whispered. Vorath's claws dug into the console. The Queen. She was enormous. A creature of chitin and pulsing organs, larger than a battleship. Tendrils extended from her body in all directions, connecting to the swarm below. Her surface rippled with movement, as if things crawled beneath her skin. She had no face, no eyes, But somehow Vorath knew she was watching them. The Queen controls the swarm, Vorath explained, his voice rough. Without her, the Hollow is mindless. They would turn on each other, lose coordination, fall apart. But as long as she lives, they are an army, Yuna finished. Yes, Minho checked his sensors. I am picking up life signs on the moon's surface. Kirathi life signs. A few hundred. Maybe less. They are in some kind of bunker complex. The survivors, Vorath breathed. They made it. They are alive. Not for long, Minho said grimly. The Hollow is digging toward them. It looks like they broke through the outer defenses. The Kirathi down there have maybe 12 hours before the swarm reaches them. The Hollow, Vorath turned away from the screen, his massive fists clenched. We have to help them. How? Minho demanded. Look at that mess. There are thousands of those things out there. We are one freighter with no weapons. If we fly in there, we die in seconds. Then we die. Speak for yourself. Vorath grabbed Minho by the front of his shirt and lifted him off the ground. The captain dangled in the air, his feet kicking uselessly. Those are my people down there, the last of my kind. I will not leave them to be eaten. Vorath, Yuna said calmly. Put him down. The Kirathi Alpha hesitated. Then, slowly, he lowered Minho back to the deck. I am sorry, Vorath said, his voice cracked. I am sorry. But I cannot. I cannot watch them die. Not again. Tejo had not moved during the confrontation. He stood at the edge of the bridge, looking at the view screen. His eyes traced the patterns of the swarm, the position of the Queen, the debris field that surrounded the system. Yuna, he said quietly. What is the range on Grandmother's targeting scope? Yuna blinked at the sudden change of topic. Maximum effective range? About 5,000 kilometers in vacuum. Why? Tejo pointed at the screen. The Queen is in high orbit. Distance approximately 4,700 kilometers from this debris field. Everyone turned to look at him. You cannot be serious, Minho said. Tejo walked to the view screen and touched a section showing dense asteroid clusters. The Hollow senses life, heat, intent. A ship flying toward them will be detected instantly. But dead matter. He traced a path through the debris. Dead matter they ignore. What are you suggesting? Vorath asked. Give me a shuttle. Disable all its systems. Let me drift through the debris field in a dead ship. No engines. No heat. No life support beyond what I carry on my back. To the Hollow. I will be just another rock. And then, Tejo looked at the Queen on the screen. When I reach firing position, I take the shot. The bridge went silent. One shot, Yuna said slowly, at 4,700 kilometers, through the electromagnetic interference of the planetary rings, against a target that can sense hostile intent. Yes, that is impossible. Tejo looked at her. Grandmother can make that shot. Grandmother is a rifle. You are asking it to do what warships cannot. Warships are loud. Warships are obvious. The Queen expects fleets and missiles. She does not expect a single human drifting in the dark with one bullet. Vorath stepped forward. I will come with you. No. I am a warrior. I can help. One person is harder to detect than two. And I need you for something else. What? Tejo turned back to the view screen. A distraction. The Queen's attention must be focused away from the debris field. If she senses me coming, the shot fails. I need the swarm looking somewhere else. You want us to attack, Minho said flatly, with this ship. Against that. I want you to survive long enough for me to take the shot. Fly fast. Keep moving. Do not engage directly. Just make noise. Draw their eyes upward. And if you miss? Tejo was quiet for a moment. Then you run. Take Vorath and jump to human space. Tell the authorities what the Hollow is. What it does. Make sure humanity is ready when they come. They are not hunting humans, Yuna pointed out. They only want the Kirathi, for now. But creatures that can exterminate the most powerful species in the galaxy do not stop. They will come for everyone eventually. Better to fight them now, while we can choose the battlefield. Vorath looked at the human marksman. This small, soft creature was preparing to do what armies could not. He was going to drift alone through enemy space with nothing but patience and one perfect shot. You could die out there, Vorath said. Yes. Why do this? You owe my people nothing. Teho met his gaze. Because someone has to try. The words hung in the air. Simple, final. Minho ran his hands through his hair. This is insane. This is completely insane. He paused. When do we start? Now. Every minute we wait, more Kirathi die below. Yuna began preparing the shuttle. She stripped out every unnecessary system, disabled the communications array, removed the active sensors. By the time she finished, it was barely more than a metal coffin with thrusters. Teho checked his EVA suit. It was rated for 12 hours of vacuum. He would need every minute. He loaded grandmother with a single round. One shot. That was all he would get. As he climbed into the shuttle, Vorath grabbed his arm. The Kirathi's claws could have torn through steel, but his grip was gentle. Human, Vorath said. If you do this, if you save my people, the Kirathi will owe you a debt that can never be repaid. Teho nodded once. Just keep them busy. The shuttle bay doors opened. The dead shuttle drifted out into the void, carried only by momentum. Behind him, the silent wake began powering up its engines. Ahead, the hollow waited. The hunt was about to begin. The battle began with fire and thunder. Minho pushed the silent wake into a steep dive toward the swarm. The freighter's engines screamed with the effort. Warning lights flashed across every console. All power to shields, Yuna called out. Diverting everything we have. That is not much, Minho muttered, but his hands were steady on the controls. Vorath stood at the weapons station. The silent wake was a cargo ship, not a warship. Its only weapons were two small defensive cannons, meant for scaring pirates. Against the hollow, they were nearly useless, but they made noise. And noise was what they needed. The first wave of hollow drones rose to meet them. Black shapes twisted through space, moving in ways that defied physics. Their bodies rippled and changed, adapting even as they flew. Vorath opened fire. The cannons blazed, cutting through the nearest drones. For every one he destroyed, 10 more appeared. They are all around us, Yuna reported. The Queen is tracking our movements. Good, Vorath growled. Keep her attention on us. Below, invisible in the debris field, Teho drifted in silence. His shuttle was dead. No engines, no heat, no light. His EVA suit ran on minimal power, giving him just enough oxygen to survive. The cold of space seeped through his gloves, his boots, his spine. He did not move. He barely breathed. Through the darkness, he watched the battle unfold above him. The silent wake twisted and spun, dancing between waves of hollow drones. Fire bloomed against its shields. Debris scattered from its hull. They were dying up there. Slowly, but surely. The swarm was tearing them apart. Teho checked his position. He had drifted for 4 hours. His fingers were numb. His lungs ached. But he was close now. The Queen hung in orbit ahead of him, a mountain of flesh and chitin against the stars. She was beautiful in her horror. Her body pulsed with dark light. Tendrils stretched from her core in all directions, connecting her to every drone in the swarm. She was not just a creature. She was a network, a mind that controlled millions. Teho began his calculations. Distance: 4,712 kilometers. He could see her through grandmother's scope, a dark shape among the stars. At this range, she was barely larger than his thumbnail. Velocity: his shuttle was drifting at 43 meters per second. That would change his aim by several degrees over the shot's travel time. Interference: the planetary rings threw off electromagnetic waves that could bend the railgun's magnetic field. He would have to compensate. Gravity: the moon below pulled at everything, including his bullet. He calculated the curve. 1 shot, 17 seconds of travel time. One chance. Above, the silent wake was falling apart. Minho's voice crackled through Taeho's helmet. We cannot last much longer. Hull breaches on decks 2 and 3. Shields are failing. Hold position. Taeho replied. His voice was calm. Flat. 60 more seconds. We do not have 60 seconds. Then give me 30. Vorath tore a hollow drone apart with his bare claws. 3 more climbed through the breach in the hull behind him. He spun and killed them too, his venom spraying across the corridor walls. Human, he called over the communicator. Whatever you are going to do it now. Taeho anchored his boot to the shuttle's hull. He extended grandmother and pressed his eye to the scope. The Queen filled his vision. She was so far away, so impossibly far. No one had ever made a shot like this. No one had ever tried. He breathed in. The galaxy went quiet. He breathed out. His finger touched the trigger. Everything stopped. In that frozen moment, Taeho saw everything. The battle raging above. The swarm covering the moon. The survivors huddled in their bunker, waiting to die. The Queen, pulsing with dark power, controlling it all. He saw Vorath fighting for his dying people. He saw Yuna shouting commands through the chaos. He saw Minho wrestling with failing controls, refusing to give up. He saw humanity. Small, fragile, soft, but patient. So very patient. He fired. The railgun kicked against his shoulder. The bullet left the barrel at 20 kilometers per second and accelerated into the void. It crossed the distance in 17 seconds, a tiny piece of metal smaller than his finger flying through the endless dark. The Queen never saw it coming. The round punched through her regenerative membrane like paper. It tore through her neural cluster, the brain that controlled the entire swarm. It exited the other side of her body in a spray of dark fluid and organic debris. She died instantly. The effect was immediate. Every hollow drone in the system went still. Their connection to the Queen severed. They lost all coordination. Some crashed into each other. Some flew in circles. Some simply stopped moving and drifted dead in space. On the silent wake, Vorath watched the swarm fall apart. What happened? Minho shouted. Yuna checked her sensors. Her voice shook with disbelief. The Queen is dead. One shot. He did it. He actually did it. Vorath stared at the chaos below. Millions of creatures, suddenly mindless, destroying themselves in confusion. The siege of the moon broke apart in minutes. He began to laugh. It was not a mocking laugh or a bitter laugh. It was pure, shocked joy. The sound of someone who had lost everything. And suddenly, impossibly, found hope. Human, he said over the communicator. Taeho, can you hear me? Silence. Then, I hear you. You saved them. You saved my people. Another pause. Come pick me up. It is cold out here. 3 days later, Taeho stood before the Galactic Assembly. Elder Noma looked down at him from her high seat. Around her, representatives of 100 species watched the small human with new eyes. You claim that you destroyed the Hollow Queen with a single shot, she said. From nearly 5,000 kilometers away. I do not claim it, Taeho replied. I did it. That is unprecedented. Humans often are. Noma leaned forward. How? How did you accomplish what our warships could not? Taeho considered the question. He looked around the chamber at all the species who had refused to help the Kirathi, who had called humans soft, who had dismissed them as prey. You measured us wrong, he said finally. You thought predators were about strength, speed, ferocity. But humans learned a long time ago that the real apex predator is the one who can wait the longest. Vorath stepped forward from the gallery. He stood beside Taeho, towering over him, and placed his clawed hand on the human's shoulder. The galaxy called them soft. Vorath said to the assembly. They were wrong. Humans are not prey. They are the shadow that waits. And when they move, he looked at Taeho with respect. Nothing survives. The chamber fell silent. Somewhere in the crowd, a species representative began quietly updating humanity's threat assessment. Others followed. Tejo just nodded, collected grandmother from where she leaned against the podium, and walked out. Behind him, the galaxy finally understood what humans really were. On a small moon far away, nearly 300 Kirathi survivors emerged from their bunkers to see the sky clear for the first time in weeks. They looked up at the stars and knew that somewhere out there, a human marksman had saved them. The universe was vast and dark and full of terrible things, but now, it also contained humans, and that changed everything.